to our next presentation. Welcome Max to Func Prog Sweden. Max has been here before. This is the third time Max is here. And now Max is going to do a presentation about how to hold a presentation about functional programming.
Yes.
Yes, welcome Max.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the first thing you need to do is to tweet that you are doing a presentation.
Okay, the side effect.
This is one of the side effects of starting to do presentations. You need to use Twitter.
Yes. And you never know what that
now
means.
It's the exclamation mark. I'm really terrible at emoji, so I'll just use an exclamation.
Yes. Let's fire up the laptop.
Yes.
And we hope that the presentation mode. Oh, look, it works.
But we needed the old man first.
Yes.
Thank you.
The nice picture.
Yes.
The stage is yours, Max.
Thank you. So you can't really see that, but Magnus here is like hanging on the side, like on a bar.
I'm trying to escape when you hold your presentation.
I see. Sorry. So, how to give a talk about functional programming? Like the most important part is basically to have fun. But of course, the first thing you do is you need to introduce yourself. So look at that amazing animation. So I used a code block here, or it's supposed to be anyway. Maybe it doesn't really show on screen. It's supposed to be light gray. And the idea here is that people who know programming, they know the command whoami, which prints your current username. So that's kind of a bit funny. Some animations, you have my contact information, where you can find me on Twitter. I'm also on Mastodon online. I might change that. So if you start following me there, you might see that I'm actually going to change instance, but we will see. Mastodon is basically like a federated version of Twitter. So it's like Twitter, but for open source geeks. It's a good time. Run your own instance. Anyway, let's go to the plan. The plan for today, first we're going to talk about basic building blocks. And this is true for basically any presentation, really. But it's going to be tilted toward functional programming or technical presentations, I should say. The importance of being silly. And for those who actually know why I wrote it like this, props to you. You did your literature history lessons correctly. Functional pitfalls. There are some stuff in functional programming language that you probably shouldn't mention and or wrap in burritos. And finally, the M word. I say no more. Okay. Let's get this show on the road. Okay, they disappeared. Maybe they come back. Please come back. Yes, they come back. Lovely. Okay, so the most important part of holding a presentation is to have some sort of theme, you have some sort of tale, doing storytelling and such. Then, of course, we need some animations like you can see here, and puns and jokes. Why? Because that's how you get remembered, right? If you have a tale, you tell a story, you capture the audience, right? And even though we're doing this in a technical setting, it really applies to everywhere. Think of as if you wanted to teach children something, and then you apply it to grown-ups. Works every time. Oh yeah, the animations needs to be silly, because silly animations, or like fun animations, makes them more memorable. I do suggest you always use animations because it makes it easier for the eyes rather than having a fast transition, having a fade through something. It's better for your eyes. However, avoid nausea. Don't move stuff across the screen, because then people get nauseous. There's many people out there that prefer reduced motion. It's called in CSS, and it means that you don't want animations. However, it doesn't mean, it like says reduce motion, right? It doesn't say no animations. Fades, very good. Moving stuff around really fast, not so good. So you're going to see that I haven't used a lot of animations that I could have. There are some, but not a lot. A theme and tail, it gives you consistency and it keeps you engaged, right? It's more fun to listen to someone telling you like we're going to have a train at the bottom of the screen and you can follow it and it will tell you where you are in your presentation, right? Then it's like just a bunch of blobs of text on the screen. And then puns and jokes. It helps to break the ice, and it connects the room. And by connects the room here, I mean that, like, if you're in a physical room, this is a bit harder because I'm not seeing anyone in the audience, or except, okay, one. I got one audience. But if you're in a physical setting, you have to read the room, right? You have to look at the people, see if they're tired, see what works, make jokes, get some laughter, right? And that means that you create like a social group, the people who laughed at that funny joke, right? And that makes it so that the entire room is suddenly one unit. And that really helps, like, keep people engaged. Okay, let's talk about functional pitfalls. So, functional programming language can be hard, right? And it's good if you wrap it in a, like the burritos, right? That's great. It was hand-drawn. It was burritos. They were fish. It was amazing. That's something that you remember. It's visual. It's not a lot of text. So like instead of writing burrito, or like fish burrito, it was actually drawn fish burritos, right? And that conveys a story. Another functional pitfall is, as you all see, how to connect your laptop, right? That's also a functional pitfall. Something I did recently, I did a talk on the code beam here, and I messed up a bunch of my animations. They did not fire in when they were supposed to, which was hilarious, and we all laughed, and it was a great time. And it turned out that hacking on your animations really late before you hand it in was not a great idea, as it turns out, right? So you need to run your presentation, look at animations, feel the timings, you know, making sure that you didn't accidentally do something. What happened to me was that all the animations were correct. They weren't triggered correctly. So some were like triggered when you click, right? But others are triggered automatically by following something else, and that's how you can make more complex animations. And I had accidentally connected some that I shouldn't have been. So in some cases, I should have clicked, and in some cases, I needed to click even though I shouldn't need to. Right now. Functional pitfalls. Side effects. Like some programming languages have a very clear notation of side effect-free code and side effect-full code. Many languages do not, including functional programmers like Scala, right? You can do dirty stuff. At least I think so. Erlang, which I'm working, completely nuts. You can burn someone's house. They will never know. But I'm still not going to return to something that you can mutate, right? That's really hard to grasp. I would suggest try to avoid that. Stay in Pure Land, even though it's a bit like cheating because it makes it easier. It's also good for like this smaller tidbits of information that you're doing in a presentation. You're not trying to usually try to like teach an entire course in Haskell. You're trying to like get people, oh, this is fun, or look at this specific part of function programming or whatever, right? Yeah, let's go. The importance of building silly. And silly here means not just using the standard animations that you have in your favorite presentation software. Draw some lines, do some custom animations, which usually means doing one of those move animations in Keynote, for example. And I put a bunch of them on a bunch of different stuff, and then I can move the entire screen in a way that I want, even though it looks like one animation. It's actually like 15. So in one case, like during the code beam, I moved a bunch of stuff to the side so I could do a transition that looked smoother than the default, which is called magisk flytt, magic move or whatever it's called, because that looked weird. But in that case, I decided to like do that all of the animation myself, right? And the end result probably looked like magisk flytt for someone who did not like notice the small differences, but it was better. And it matters. Like, it's silly that you need to do to have this attention to detail, but it really matters. Like, if you don't have stuff centered, if you don't have animations that just feels right or are not too fast, not too slow, you notice it because it's like, oh God, that was not nice. If one of these letters were in a different font, you would notice it. It is not. They're all in the same font because I like to stay within my corporate brand. Which, by the way, we have just recently switched to corporate branding. So now Kivra is actually have a new logo and stuff, which I'm using. Like, this is the beta version of the Keynote template. I'm going to blame everything that goes wrong on it being the Keynote template and not me. Anyway, importance of being silly. Let's talk about the M word. What is the M word? Well, we also call it monad. Yes. This is like, there's something called the curse of monads, which says that if you know how a monad works, you can't teach it. I'm not entirely sure if that's correct, but I think it's because a lot of people who like monads and write function programming at that level are like professors. And to cite XQCD, function programming gives you the elegance of abstract mathematics, and I don't know, something else about intuitive clarity of abstract mathematics, right? So it gives you like, it's so intuitive. It's like abstract mathematics. Everybody understands it, right? Of course, monads are really everywhere. And just the other day, I explained that everything was a monad, sounding completely like a crazy person, you know? But the thing is, like, they got it, because a process is a monad, a thread is a monad. It's a when you suspend a thread, what you do is you take the stack, right? You pack it up and you move it somewhere else. That's a monad. And then you can run it again by putting it back. That's actually bind. Right? It doesn't really feel like that, maybe. But a process is also a monad. Like, everything's a monad. Because once you start saying everything is a monad, people's just going to start running the other way. So I suggest that, if at all possible, avoid mentioning that something is a monad. Just teach them the thing. They don't need to know. Right? Of course, in the case of either that we just heard here, right? It's one of those most fundamental monads, just after maybe, right? You have maybe, which is just a or nothing, and then you have either, left or right. Of course, either, I think, is a terrible, left to right is a terrible name. I think that Rust and Scala and many have decided to name it result with success or error, and that's much easier for us to comprehend. It really is just either left or right? But having the different name helps. And if I say that result in Rust is a monad, it's going to be like, oh my God, right? But if I say that, oh, this is result, you can do this, you can use this question mark notation, and it will automatically return if it ever comes an error, that's do syntax, right? That's bind. But we don't say that. So I think a lot of Rusticans actually program using what basically like really is do notation under the surface, and they don't know it because it has been hidden and looks like normal code, just like the either blocks that we just saw, right? Especially the ones without bind even. If you ever use promises in JavaScript, you use the monad. Then it's both flat map and bind, which is actually the same. But it's also fmap and apply if you're in Haskell land. A little bit of information. And then I actually going to do something maybe different. I'm actually going to stop here and start taking some questions. But of course, silly animations. And you have a train. One of my colleagues asked for a train, so I added a train. Det är för dig, Daniel. Anyway.
Yes.
And if you like this sort of stuff and like to work with Erlang, which is a function programming language, and work with like many customers, talk to me. send me a mail on max.nordlund@kivra.com. We are searching for a lot of different positions in a lot of different teams. And you can find me on the internet on these addresses. Yes. So, questions?
Yes, I don't. Thank you very much for your presentation. Thanks, Max. I will throw myself back up on stage.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much for your presentation. There is no questions, but I have a lot of questions, of course. First one. This presentation had side effects. Joking with you.
Yes. I hope so. I hope people get engaged and want to, present at Func Prog meetup, man.
Yes,
this is a great
I
place
know.
to start.
This is why we wanted. This is why I wanted to do this. That people felt that, oh, how do I present? Yeah. This is how we can do it. Take your tips. So, what's your number one tip? If you take nothing with you from this presentation, but one thing.
Present something that you're an expert on, something that you really, really know, that you're a total nerd in, right? Because then it's easy to talk about.
Yeah, you're right. The only issue is then, of course, if they are experts in monads.
Then maybe choose a different subject. Maybe choose a different. That's the great thing about monads and puns.
Yeah.
Maybe is like a
maybe
it's a pun.
Yeah.
Actually, I wrote some really terrible puns in our Slack where it was like, "Oh, do you want some train? Like, will there be trains? No, I'm still in training, so I can't promise you anything. Maybe something, nothing." Like I made all of them. Either, maybe, nothing. You name it. Just, yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yes, this is a question that I also wanted to ask. Should you do live coding?
Oh yeah, live coding is fun.
Have you done live coding, Max?
Yes.
Yes,
I have.
we know. Live coding is fun, especially when it doesn't compile, and you're like, which is it? Which row is it? Everyone sees it except the person that's live coding.
Okay, so when you do live coding, let's do some live coding. First off, what's great about live codes in general is that you can always press, like on Mac, it's
zoom a bit.
Apple plus, otherwise it's like Control plus, and you can make the text way bigger.
Oh yes.
Yes. Yes, it looks amazing. You can make it even bigger, right? And then I prefer to use a REPL. REPL is nice because you can, like this is Erlang, right? And if you need something, you can, okay, what was it, lists, and you can just tap, and then you can be like, oh, map, what was it, oh, yeah, yes, right? For example, in
should you test your live coding before you live code? Or should you'd be fearless and just jump into it?
Yes. So for example here, like when you do maps fold, it just fold, right? It doesn't have a direction. But in lists you have map fold L, as in from left to right or right to left, right? But I never ever remember the signature of these things. Like, oh, where's the map going? Where's the fun? Like, how many arguments did it have? So then you can look up the help function, right? And be like, oh, right. Oh, yeah, that is okay. Fun is first. Yeah. Lists, map, fun. Ta-da! You can also do that as a list comprehension in this case, but So, and I think this is fine. Like if you show that you are a human, right? We're not gods. It's
or
fine.
robots.
Or robot.
We think.
If you want to prepare, I would suggest that you have a bunch of prepared code snippets, and then you would use. So, if I quit here, like in there's something called pbcopy on Mac. You have xclip. In Xorg, I don't know what's the one in Wayland if you use Linux. I'm sure there's something in PowerShell if you use Windows. But there's basically a command that allows you to put stuff in your clipboard, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you can have is that you can have on one screen, you can have like you can be in a directory with a bunch of different prepared snippets, and you just pb copy. Oh, I want. I don't know. Things apparently. What is things? That's very bizarre. It's 27K. Okay, I have no clue. I should probably not paste that. And you can also like you can also do this with these tools. The syntax is slightly different if you're on Linux, but or on Windows. I would suggest use that. In my case, I have a drop-down terminal. You can't see that, which is kind of the point. But
I see it.
So I have a terminal which I have a global hotkey for. So I can press that, copy something, press that again, and then I can paste that easily, right? Having that makes it so that you don't need to type. And if you get nervous, it might be hard to type, right?
And you get
jitters.
Yes.
You can also write it as a module in your favorite language as prepared function, like function 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But in that case, you need to also view the code at the same time. Viewing code in your favorite editor is usually easy. Writing code is hard because that's some tips and tricks for live coding. Yeah.
Yes. One more question. How would you dispel the myth that functional programming is hard to read and messy in the presentation?
Hard to read? Oh man. Well, I've yeah, you get to see more animations again.
You get it.
Like in Erlang. Erlang has inherited the syntax from Prog, so it doesn't look great, right? But it's not super hard to read once you get into it. But I think that's true for everything. Like I was reading some Java code today because we have an old Java app. And I started to think, like, since I've been in functional programming on an Erlang lands for so long, I started like saying or reading the first part of a function or method signature as the name, but it's the return. So it's like, oh, this is the, no, wait, that's the name. Oh, it's, okay, so the return is RPC sender something, but it's set sender something, that's the name of it. And like, and I have coded Java at KTH, right?
Yeah.
So I'd say it's mostly hard to read new syntax. So if you can use familiar syntax, that's great. But don't sweat it. Yeah.
Yeah. I have one more question on the same theme.
Yes.
What's your favorite? How do you show good-looking, beautiful functional programming code?
Oh, I have a tip here. If you're, let's stop this again.
We're going into live presentation. What about live coding? Forget about it. Let's go live presentation. Take things off Max desktop. We hope it's safe. We hope his communication department cleared out his desktop before he came here.
Yeah, exactly. Let me, let's see.
Oh shit, this is my peved text. I shouldn't shown it live.
No.
Okay.
Oh, I'm just going to show like my private keys and stuff. You know what's going to happen then? Security is going to have a field day. Okay, I can show you. This project is open source, so this I can show you. I may have to also make sure that I don't accidentally show like proprietary code, right?
Sure.
So anyway, so you have something here, which is, in this case, it happens to be a metaprogramming language, a library in Erlang. It's not important what it is. You have some code, right? This code, as you can see, is syntax highlighted, right? It's rendered markdown. If I go into some file, in this case, maybe it should be just Marlin, sure. You get some bunch of syntax highlighting. It looks nice. I'm gonna hide that because I got some errors, I think. Anyway, you want this in your presentation, right? So what you can do, at least in this editor, is that you can mark some stuff and you say, oh, but I want to copy this record. So I mark it and I say Control Control C or Command C or whatever. Of course, when you do that, you actually only copy the raw text because you're supposed to paste it in like a program. But you can do copy copy with syntax highlighting like this. And now if I paste this in go back here. No, the other way around. Vad tog min mus vägen? No, där. And I do lägg till en bild. Så, paste. And I will show you. Oops. Oj. Very, very small, but it's here. And then you can, oops. So. And you can make it bigger. And look at this, like I got the syntax highlighting with me, right? And what's really nice about this is that you can choose your own pretty colors, right? And if you want to make it dark mode, you can make it dark mode. And then you can, in that case, I think you need to add like a square so you get an actual background, because I think it only copies only the text got like the dark background, not like the entire thing, because it was text. But since it's actually text, right, it means that we can make an animation on this. So om vi går på begin här, you can actually do you know what's really funny about this is that it's really hard to read because it's really tiny and it's on a screen far away. You can make it, type it like that. Of course, we need to make it longer, or maybe not that long. Så någonting, sure, förhandsvisa. And you can have it like this, right? And suddenly you have it. Like, and then, of course, if you need to have it pause in certain places, you can copy paste and remove some stuff and have a bunch of text fields on top of each other. This is especially true if you want to have like the curly brackets first and then fill in the middle, not top. So this is a tip. You can also copy like anything on a website and it should work, because if you copy something on a website, it usually takes with it all of the formatting, right? Yep. Which means that if you go into, say, I don't know, GitHub, make a gist, you can just go into the actual site, copy paste that.
Control C, Control
V.
Yeah. Yes. Well, the question was, sorry, I'm back to questions again. How do you show like functional programming? Because the question was more like, if you come from C, you have a lot of boilerplate code, so you can really, like in Java, you can follow everything. And then you go into magic functional programming. Voila. Get rid of a lot of boilerplate code and you do some list map.
Oh yeah.
Fun. How do you get people, to follow the steps and like, this is how you follow the steps?
One thing you can do, as I alluded to, is that if you only reveal a few lines at a time, you can reveal one line. Do something, reveal one line. So if that's this is just types, right? So this is not that exciting. But if you go to like a function like this, transform internal, it looks horrendous. Let's go to, okay, this one. This one is okay. It's kind of big, it's kind of obnoxious, but at least we can try to talk about it, right?
Line by line, yeah.
Line by line. So first, maybe I would show these lines. We set some initial state. In this case, I would probably remove a bunch of these logging statements. This is just instrumentation. I would remove that for a presentation because it's not really important, which is true for this one, for example. Maybe I don't need to do all of this. Maybe I can even remove all of that and only do transform internal, because this entire catch is just basically there in order to like do logging. So you can simplify the code a bit, and then it becomes like, okay, I call transform internal and it will return these two in a tuple, and then I do a finalization of the forms and the internal state, and then I return the former state and the state.extra. Blah 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 blah. Right, and then we'll be like, okay, how does finalize work? And then you would show finalize, and it does this, and it happens to do in a specific format that Erlang likes, and if you do it wrong, it crashes the compiler, and I don't know. And also, like if you have some really nasty function like this one, like this, oh, it's so lovely. map fold subtrees. Just taste that beauty. What the hell does that even mean? Map fold is the combination of map and fold.
In a subtree.
Yes. In Ruby, I would call it each with object.
Okay.
Which is basically, it's like I want to carry some stuff on the side, and also I want to do an actual map. This is a map fold and list is amazing, by the way. If you want to keep state and transform stuff inside of a map, you need map fold. And in the end, you like return the next state and the next element, and you go through that. You can pile on some stuff. So, for example, you can do counting, you can do bucketing, you can do a bunch of different stuff, like as in a fold, right? But you can at the same time also be like, oh, but I want to do some filtering or want to do something else, right? In this case, this map fold subtrees is actually a map flat fold. Do I have one of those here? Map fold. Have I written it there? No. Okay, I did not write it there, but like the actual function, or the actual function here is actually more of a map fold, more map flat fold, because it allows anyway. That's monad territory. I'm going to my monad territory again. Damn it. But yeah, like this is a bunch of code, but you can show that. And if you have some real world code or whatever that you want to show, remove all of this instrumentation that is not needed, right? And you can simplify it. You can have it at just this and go away, damn error. It's fine. It doesn't need to be perfect for presentation. Because you have way less space here.
Oh yeah, true.
So that's the tip. More?
No more questions.
No more questions.
No more questions. Thank you very much, Max.
Thank you.
Yes, which brings us over to the next subject and why we had this presentation. No, please stay, Max.
Yeah.
If you want to present at the coming meetup, look at this presentation and then contact me and we'll put you on stage. Yes.
That's how I got started.
Yeah, exactly.
I showed promises to Haskellers in JavaScript and tried to convince them that JavaScript was fine.
Yes.
It's a monad. You don't need to be afraid. That was the reverse monad, by the way.
Yes, exactly. So, as Max say, if you have anything you want to present or convince people that they should quit using Haskell and start using JavaScript, like Max is trying, then contact me and we'll put you on stage in the meetup. Our idea is to be back in August and then run one meetup per month during the autumn. Yes. So we're for sure looking for more presentations. And maybe we'll put on Max again and he will present his favorite functions and what he does with them in different languages. It could be really fun.
Yeah. Side note there. He
should be fun.
Okay, that was a good one. I have to. He actually shows the title for this talk and said, "Here,
yes,
do this." And I was like, "Okay, challenge accepted." Try it.
Exactly. Yes. Oh my God, what are you writing now? Copy paste. Oh. Yes. If you don't have anything else, just copy paste the talk, or copy paste talk.
Copy paste.
Copy paste talk.
I should probably say code here.
Oh, copy paste code. Yes,
that sounded more reasonable, but that was not nearly as fun.
Yes. Well, yes, we got some applause in the chat. Well, thank you for enjoying the good I think it was a really good presentation, Max. Yes. And we are back in August, and thanks everyone for watching. Bye.